Hello, my friends. D.L. Anderson here. Welcome back to Transformation by Truth podcast as we share the truth concerning these last days and what you must do to save yourself from the violent times that are just ahead. Today's podcast is a word of truth accounting of the end times. The end is coming. The end is near. Today's podcast is entitled End Times 305, The 80 Degrees of Lawlessness, Part 2, The Evolution and Elimination of Spiritual Strongholds. The podcast objectives are analyze the choice we have between walking in the way of holiness and pursuing lawlessness, analyze the relationships between the degrees of lawlessness and strongholds, and analyze the power it will take to defeat the work of lawlessness. This lesson contains timelines and other visuals. Therefore, if you are listening to the podcast, I advise you to watch the video version on our website or YouTube, or request a PDF of the lesson so you can add the visual effect. To be or not to be. Shalom, my beloved brothers and sisters, and welcome to day 10 of our exposition of lawlessness. In the most recent podcast, I revealed the hierarchy of lawlessness, and we analyzed the 80 degrees by their spiritual rankings. In doing so, we came to see how lawlessness is partitioned by 4 distinct levels. These levels are the foundation, the focus, the key, and the primary. If you have been with us from the beginning, then you understand the same rule applies to all the degrees of holiness. This brings us to a key revelation that I would advise you to bookmark. All the degrees of lawlessness are spiritually adjacent to all the degrees of holiness. This is precisely why it is impossible to be in the way of holiness and simultaneously pursue lawlessness. For every choice we make in this life is designed to force us to follow a degree of holiness or a degree of lawlessness. It's the classic line, to be or not to be. To wit, by choosing to be holy, you are choosing not to pursue lawlessness. And by choosing to pursue lawlessness, you are choosing not to be holy. My dear friends, you cannot have it both ways. And dare I say, if you are being led by the Spirit, you shouldn't want it both ways. The only way you should desire is the way of holiness, for it is the only path that offers life, and there is no hope for any other. If you are operational within the Spirit. Now, understanding how the hierarchy of lawlessness is parallel to the hierarchy of holiness, we should consider lawlessness in the same manner in which we have analyzed holiness since the beginning of this ministry. That is, in the model of a pinnacle. Notwithstanding, seeing as the pinnacle of holiness is progressive, represented by ascending levels and intervals, the Spirit has led me to provide a different model for lawlessness. That would be a mountain that cannot be ascended. For unlike the pinnacle of holiness, its levels and intervals are all descending. The reason why this is the case is as critical as it is sure, and it speaks to the primary uniform objective of all the degrees of lawlessness. Consider this and be advised. The primary uniform objective of all the degrees of lawlessness is to ensnare you with a primary stronghold that has the power to infect you with multiple strongholds, none of which can be defeated outside of the power of the Spirit of Elohim. Now, I trust you understand the crucial nature of this declaration, for strongholds are not unique to those who are in the world. My dear friends, there are many strongholds within the extended nation of Israel. Remember, it's not enough to have the Spirit to eliminate a stronghold. No, sir. You must have the power to operate in the Spirit. And this is what many in the extended nation are lacking. To wit, they have the power, but they don't know how to use it, and no one is teaching them. Here again, that's why you're here. It's because I'm going to show you how to use the power of the Spirit so you can defeat every stronghold in your life. Here is why this is so important. The same way the primary degrees are the source of all the other degrees of lawlessness, all the degrees of lawlessness are only operational via strongholds. Therefore, the only way to eliminate the 80 degrees of lawlessness from your life is to first eliminate their corresponding strongholds. And this is only possible if you are operational within the Spirit of Elohim. It will take power. Now, as you can clearly see by the image to the right, the mountain of lawlessness is established upon a spiritual stronghold, vis-a-vis a primary stronghold that serves as a controller for all the other strongholds in your life. From this stronghold, you can see how all the primary degrees of lawlessness are connected, beginning with doubt and concluding with ego. You can also see how each interval is descending. To wit, deception descends from ego to rebellion. Selfishness descends from rebellion to hate, and so on and so forth. Alas, this defective process continues like a downward spiral until you descend into a spiritual stronghold you cannot eliminate, for it is now supported by all the strongholds associated with the 80 degrees of lawlessness. This truth brings us to a very important point of interest concerning the manner in which we eliminate the spiritual strongholds in our life. This is another one I would advise you to bookmark. You cannot eliminate the primary stronghold situated at the foundation of the mountain of lawlessness for the simple fact that you, at this stage in your quest for holiness, have not unlocked the power required to do so. Therefore, you must eliminate every spiritual stronghold associated with every degree of lawlessness. In doing so, you will eventually and dynamically eliminate the primary stronghold. Now, here again, this elimination will require power, but not just any power. It will take working power, operational power by an individual who is being set apart via spiritual transformation. And this will be the primary objective of the upcoming podcast. I'm going to show you how you can begin progressively eliminating every degree of lawlessness and their corresponding strongholds. And I'm going to use the scriptures to verify the process and the models the Spirit has given me to use in teaching this truth to those who have been chosen to obtain the seal of Elohim. Thus, as I said in the most recent podcast, you'll want to have your Bibles out and ready for this lesson, for we still have a ways to go in validating the process by which we eliminate lawlessness from our lives. Now, here is the final word. To eliminate every degree of lawlessness, you must first eliminate every stronghold. This is important to realize, for many will attempt to eliminate lawlessness from their lives without first eliminating their corresponding strongholds. Therefore, we will analyze the strongholds we acquire via lawlessness throughout this phase, and I will show you how you can eliminate each one. Now, here is today's assignment. Meditate on the word you have heard today, and as always, ask the Father to reveal the truth to you. For the children of Elohim live by conviction, and if he has not convicted you, or if you had not heard him concerning these matters, you should pray until you do. Today, I want you to meditate on all the aspects about your nature that do not reflect the power of Elohim and the example Yahushua Messiah left us. I want you to really focus on these aspects of your nature. In doing so, you'll come to understand how some of these are not just spiritual deficits or character flaws. My dear friends, it is likely that you have some manner of a stronghold in your life. Else, you probably would have already eliminated this issue. Don't let the enemy discourage you concerning this matter. Everyone in this world has, at some point, been victimized by a stronghold, but not everyone has the opportunity to do something about it. You, my friend, have the opportunity to do something about it. So don't ignore the real issues that are plaguing you, for they are keeping you from being sealed. Rather, get ready to deal with them once and for all. Now, here is what's next. We completed today's podcast, End Times 305, the 80 Degrees of Lawlessness, Part 2. And the next podcast is entitled End Times 306, the 80 Degrees of Lawlessness, Part 3. I will post this podcast on Friday, July 12th, 2024. Until then, my friends, continue to be led by the Spirit of Elohim. Continue to watch, continue to pray, continue in fasting, and most of all, continue to be focused, for the end is coming. The end is near.